Have you ever asked yourself why some people wake up and the world rearranges itself around them while others work hard and nothing seems to change? That question, raw, uncomfortable, irresistible, is the first crack in the shell of ordinary living. In the next 30 seconds, I want you to look inside and answer honestly, are you living by default or by design? Most people live by the echoes of other people's expectations. Greatness, however, begins where those echoes die. Listen, greatness is not a prize handed out to the lucky. It is a discipline of the heart. It is the quiet habit of thinking differently in the marketplace of noise. It's the small, steady decisions when no one is watching that accumulate into destiny. I'm not talking about talent alone or a lucky break. I'm talking about a way of seeing the world so clearly and acting so deliberately that the world has no choice but to respond. Imagine your thoughts as seeds. If you sow fear, you harvest limitation. If you plant audacity, you will reap possibility. What we call luck is usually the visible fruit of an invisible thought pattern, a relentless conviction that tomorrow can be better because I will be better. So before we talk strategy, I must ask you to do something brave. Refuse the comfortable explanation. Refuse the gentle lie that says, this is who I am. Greatness is a program you can learn. Over the next few minutes, I'll unfold 6 keys, not platitudes, but practical heart commands that will reset the architecture of your thinking. They will sharpen your attention, harden your resolve, and rewire your choices. But here is the most important warning, guys. Once you start thinking this way, you cannot go back to pretending the old you was enough. The life you're about to meet will demand trade-offs. Are you ready to pay the cost for a life that makes history? Listen carefully, because the first key will require you to do something almost everyone fears to admit. Ask one to one reframe your inner conversation as 600 words. The loudest voice in your life is not the preacher on Sunday, not your friends, not even your critics. It's the one that speaks in your head when the lights go out. That voice narrates your entire existence. It tells you what is possible, what is allowed, and what is off limits. The tragedy is that many people live under the dictatorship of their own defeated thoughts. They have become prisoners of a conversation that was never supposed to continue this long. When God said, "Let there be light," creation responded to a word. Likewise, your destiny responds to your words, especially the words you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. Reframing your inner conversation means you start confronting every lie that has built a throne inside your mind. It means you stop accepting thoughts as facts. Not every idea that visits you deserves a seat at your table. Many thoughts arrive dressed like truth, but carry poison in their pockets. You must learn to interrogate them. Who sent you? What evidence do you bring? Do you align with the future I see or the fear I'm trying to escape? This is not self-help. It's spiritual warfare disguised as self-talk. Your inner words shape your outer world. When you say, "I'm not good enough," your brain starts searching for proof to confirm it. When you say, "I am chosen for more," your mind begins building strategies to validate it. You become an architect or a saboteur of your own destiny, depending on the vocabulary you permit. Every time you repeat a phrase, you are either reinforcing your prison or extending your freedom. This is why the Bible insists, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." It is not merely about positive thinking. It's about aligning your internal dialogue with divine truth. Let me tell you this. Hell doesn't have to attack you with visible weapons. It just needs to convince you to agree with mediocrity. The enemy knows that once your mouth agrees with limitation, your actions will follow without resistance. So he whispers softly, "You failed too many times. People like you don't rise that high. Maybe greatness is for others." And because the tone sounds familiar, you accept it as your own thought, But that voice is a thief. It steals your future one quiet doubt at a time. If you want to reframe your inner conversation, begin with awareness. Catch yourself mid-sentence. Pause when you say, I always mess things up, and ask, who told me that? Then replace it. Declare, I am learning, and every step makes me wiser. This small substitution may seem insignificant, but over time it rewires your belief system. The human mind is loyal. It obeys whatever it hears most consistently. So start feeding it truth until it forgets the taste of fear. Every great man or woman of God mastered this discipline. David did not wait for encouragement. He encouraged himself in the Lord. Paul said, I think myself happy. Even Jesus, standing before death itself, spoke life into his purpose. For this cause came I into the world. Their secret was not arrogance. It was alignment. They understood that words create atmospheres, and atmospheres create outcomes. Reframing your inner conversation is not denial, it's design. You're not pretending everything is perfect. You are choosing to focus on what can be perfected. You stop narrating your pain as a prophecy and start declaring your process as preparation. This is how ordinary people evolve into extraordinary leaders. They refuse to give their inner voice permission to speak defeat over divine potential. So, I ask you now, what have you been saying to yourself about your destiny? Because whatever you repeat long enough becomes your reality. You don't rise higher than the story you tell yourself every morning. Change that story, and the world will have to rewrite its opinion of you. But here's the mystery most never uncover. Reframing your mind isn't enough if the self-vision that drives it remains small. Because once your thoughts are free, your eyes must find something worthy to see. And that, my friend, leads us into the next key course, how to set a vision so divine it refuses to let you stay average. Quality was Caliber T2 says that kingdom. Caliber visions is like sexy. What vision is not a dream? It is a divine instruction. It is the map heaven draws inside your spirit before your feet ever begin the journey. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. It is to live without vision. Many people wake up, go to work, and return home, mistaking activity for progress. But motion is not movement, and business is not destiny. Vision is what separates those who merely exist from those who shape history. Without vision, your energy leaks into everything and transforms nothing. But with vision, even your pain becomes productive. A kingdom caliber vision is not an ambition rooted in ego. It's a revelation rooted in purpose. It is seeing yourself and your assignment through God's lens, not through the limitations of your upbringing. It's not saying, I want to be successful, but asking, what does God want to achieve through me? When your vision aligns with divine intention, it gains the backing of heaven. The world bows to men who walk in visions that carry eternal weight. That's why ordinary goals fade, but kingdom visions echo through generations. If you ever wonder how greatness begins, it begins with a picture, an inner photograph that refuses to leave your mind. Joseph saw sheaves bowing. Abraham saw stars in the sky. Jesus saw the joy set before him and endured the cross. They all saw something invisible that governed their choices. Vision gives your life direction when everything else feels uncertain. You can survive almost any season if you can still see where you're going. To set a kingdom caliber vision, you must silence the noise of comparison. Too many people borrow goals from social media instead of receiving blueprints from God. The vision you need is not a copy, it's a covenant. You don't invent vision, you receive it. That means you must take time in stillness, in worship, in study, and ask, Lord, what have you written about me in your book? Because before you arrived on earth, there was already a script prepared. True vision is simply the unveiling of that heavenly manuscript. But here's the test. Real vision will scare you. It will be too big for your resources, too demanding for your comfort, too holy for your pride. That's how you know it's from God. If you can achieve it without divine help, it's not kingdom caliber, it's self caliber. Greatness begins where your strength ends and grace begins. You will find yourself saying, I don't have what it takes. And heaven will reply, good. Now you're ready for partnership. Once you receive that vision, you must write it down. Vision unrecorded becomes vision forgotten. Habakkuk said, write the vision, make it plain, that he may run who reads it. Writing crystallizes revelation. It transforms a whisper into a weapon. And when the storms of doubt come, and they will, the written vision becomes your anchor. Read it aloud when you feel weary. Declare it when results seem delayed. The more you repeat it, the more your spirit aligns with it, until every decision, every friendship, and every opportunity starts filtering through it. A kingdom caliber vision also demands structure. It is not enough to dream, you must design. Ask yourself what systems, habits, and disciplines support what I've seen. Vision without structure becomes frustration. Structure without vision becomes religion. But when both align, destiny accelerates. God doesn't bless confusion. He blesses clarity. When you carry a divine vision, even your enemies become part of your training. Every obstacle becomes instruction. Every delay becomes development. The vision shapes your reactions. It teaches you patience, endurance, and focus. You stop fighting for recognition and start laboring for manifestation. You no longer chase applause, you chase alignment. Because you know if the vision is from God, it cannot die, it can only mature. But here's the secret very few ever realize. Vision alone is not enough. Many people see greatness but never touch it. Why? Because what sustains vision is not passion, but discipline. And discipline, my friend, is the crucible where vision either matures or dies. So before you celebrate what you've seen, prepare yourself for the next revelation. How to build the discipline that transforms divine into visible reality. Discipline over desire, 600 words. Desire is the spark that ignites your journey, but discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire alive when the spark fades. Everyone begins with passion, songs in their hearts, dreams in their minds, and words of motivation in their mouths. But what separates the inspired from the impactful is consistency. Discipline is the invisible bridge between revelation and manifestation. You can have the greatest vision from heaven, but without discipline, it will remain a divine fantasy instead of an earthly reality. The truth is, desire is emotional, but discipline is covenantal. Desire shouts, I feel like doing it, while discipline whispers, I will do it whether I feel like it or not. The world is filled with people who began well, people who saw visions, heard prophecies, made declarations, but very few stay long enough to see them fulfilled. Why? Because the human heart loves excitement, but resists endurance. Yet, greatness does not answer to excitement, it bows to endurance. When you study the lives of great men, you'll discover that their difference was not always in talent, but in routine. They showed up when others gave up. They prayed when others slept. They prepared when others procrastinated. Discipline is not glamorous. It's often lonely. There are no applause, no lights, no recognition. But behind every public manifestation lies a private discipline that refused to die in the dark. Every giant you admire has a secret pattern the crowd never sees. Let me tell you, this destiny rewards patterns, not promises. God can promise you nations, but he will only deliver them to a disciplined vessel. That's why Paul said, I discipline my body and bring it under subjection. He understood that the flesh loves comfort, but the spirit loves purpose, and only discipline can make them cooperate. Your emotions must never be the driver of your destiny. They are passengers, not pilots. Discipline is what teaches your body to obey your purpose even when your feelings rebel. True discipline is not punishment, it is protection. It protects your vision from erosion. It guards your focus from distraction. It tells you, no, not today. When every part of you screams, just this once. Discipline is not about restriction. It's about preservation. Every no you tell yourself is an investment in a bigger yes tomorrow. Desire burns fast and fades quickly, but discipline burns slow and lasts long. You cannot pray your way out of what you must discipline your way through. Prayer gives you strength, discipline gives you structure. Both are divine tools, but one without the other produces imbalance. Many believers pray for open doors while ignoring the habits that qualify them to walk through those doors. God is not just a miracle worker. He is a systems builder. His kingdom operates on order, and order requires discipline. There will be days when you don't feel anointed, when you don't feel inspired, when you don't even feel called. But discipline keeps you steady. It says, even when I can't feel God, I will still serve Him faithfully. That's maturity. Because in the long run, the crown doesn't go to the most talented, but to the most consistent. Desire starts the race, but discipline finishes it. So ask yourself, what small decisions am I willing to repeat daily to sustain what I've seen in vision? Because the success you seek will not be found in the drama of big moments, but in the rhythm of small obediences. Build your habits like a wall, one brick at a time, day after day, until your life becomes a fortress of purpose. But remember this, discipline alone cannot sustain you if your environment keeps pulling you backward. You can't build consistency in the wrong company, because even the strongest discipline can be poisoned by the wrong influence. So before you celebrate your new habits, prepare your heart, because the next key will expose something many overlook as to why the company you keep can either multiply your greatness or quietly destroy it. The company you keep like 600 awards. No matter how powerful your vision or how disciplined your habits, the company you keep will either accelerate your destiny or assassinate it. You can't outgrow the atmosphere you constantly breathe. Every person around you is either oxygen or carbon monoxide to your purpose. The truth is, people are environments. You don't just live with them, you live in them. Spend enough time around small thinkers, and soon your dreams will start shrinking to fit their comfort zones. Stay around people who gossip, and you'll start doubting the worth of silence. But walk with visionaries, and suddenly impossibilities begin to feel natural. Destiny is contagious. Association breeds assimilation. The Bible says, "He that walks with the wise shall become wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." Notice that it doesn't say, you become foolish. It says you'll be destroyed. That's because foolishness is not always about ignorance. It's about exposure. You become what you repeatedly behold. When you sit around those who constantly complain, it's only a matter of time before you find reasons to complain too. But sit with people who speak faith, and soon you'll find yourself believing for the impossible. Greatness demands selective association. Jesus had 12 disciples, but within the 12, he had 3. Even within the 3, there was one who leaned on his chest. Not everyone deserves equal access to your energy. You must learn to love widely, but trust wisely. The problem with many gifted people is not that they lack vision. It's that they keep company with people who dilute their focus. Every conversation you entertain is a seed. Some grow fruit, others grow weeds. If you don't guard your garden, your greatness will be choked by the wrong roots. There are people who love your potential but hate your progress. They are comfortable as long as you remain predictable. The moment you rise, they start to shrink. Be discerning enough to notice when someone is clapping for your failure louder than your success. You must not carry everyone into your next season. Some relationships are seasonal, not covenantal. It's not arrogance to walk away. It's wisdom to protect what God is building in you. Destiny has limited seats, and not everyone qualifies for the journey. If you truly want to rise, surround yourself with people who provoke your excellence. People who don't flatter your weakness but confront it. The right company doesn't just comfort you, they correct you. They challenge your laziness, question your excuses, and remind you of who you said you become when you first believed. These are destiny midwives, people who refuse to let you miscarry purpose. Every great man you admire was once sharpened by another man's iron. Isolation may feel safe, but transformation happens in the friction of relationship. Guard your circle like a sacred temple. Don't allow gossip, envy, or negativity to become part of your atmosphere. Learn to recognize energy drainers, the ones who leave you anxious, drained, or doubtful after every conversation. Protect your peace, because peace is the environment where divine ideas grow. If you have to choose between being popular and being purposeful, choose purpose. Popularity attracts attention, purpose attracts destiny. And hear this clearly, divine connections are not always comfortable. Sometimes God will place you near people who intimidate you, not to diminish you, but to stretch you. The discomfort you feel is often the sound of capacity expanding. If everyone in your circle thinks like you, talks like you, and dreams like you, then your circle is not a team. It's a mirror. Growth requires difference. So examine your company tonight. Ask yourself, who is feeding my fire and who is draining my oil? Because no matter how anointed you are, even the strongest flame can die in the wrong wind. But even the weakest spark can become a wildfire in the right atmosphere. Choose wisely. Your future is walking beside you in human form. Yet, even with the right company, you will face moments of failure, loss, and rejection. The difference between those who quit and those who rise again is how they interpret those failures. Because in the next key, we will uncover something that separates the ordinary from the unstoppable. The secret of how great men fall, learn, and rise stronger. Fail fast, learn faster. Yet as chaotic 5, fail fast, learn faster 600 words. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the soil from which success grows. Every person who has ever achieved anything lasting has walked through the valley of mistakes, disappointments, and detours. The difference between the broken and the built is not that one failed and the other didn't. It's that one learned faster. You will never find a great man without scars. Every scar tells a story, not of defeat, but of education. The truth is, the classroom of destiny is rarely found in comfort. It is found in confrontation with your limits, your pride, and your patience. You must learn to redefine failure. Failure is not final unless you choose to stop learning. When God allows something to collapse in your life, He is not punishing you. He is revealing something you could not see while everything was working. Sometimes success blinds you, but failure refocuses you. What you call a set might actually be a divine seminar, an invitation to wisdom. The faster you stop crying about it and start studying it, the quicker you evolve. Those who linger in regret delay their promotion. Look through scripture and you'll see this principle written everywhere. Peter failed publicly, denying the very master he swore to defend. But that same Peter, once restored, preached one sermon that birthed 3,000 souls into the kingdom. Moses failed in Egypt, but that failure trained him in the wilderness for 40 years of leadership. David failed in morality, yet his repentance produced psalms that still heal broken hearts today. God doesn't discard the fallen, He refines them. But only those humble enough to learn become strong enough to lead. Failure becomes a teacher when you stop defending your mistakes and start dissecting them. Ask yourself, what did this experience reveal about me? What assumptions did I make? What must I do differently next time? When you approach failure with curiosity instead of shame, it loses its power to paralyze you. You become an investigator of destiny, not a victim of disappointment. Every lesson you extract becomes a weapon for your next season. Life never wastes pain, but people often do. To fail fast means to experiment boldly. Don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't exist. The fear of making mistakes keeps more people trapped than the mistakes themselves. Move, act, try, build, write, speak. If it doesn't work, analyze and adjust. That's how innovation is born. Every new level requires a new version of you, and that version is usually discovered through failure. It's not about reckless living. It's about fearless learning. You'll never know the limits of your potential until you collide with them. Do not idolize perfection. Perfectionism is often the pride of fear. It makes you look polished while secretly keeping you paralyzed. God never demanded perfection. He demanded progress. He can work with progress, but he cannot move with stagnation. When you fail fast, you invite grace to meet you quickly. You give heaven something to bless, because faith without action remains theory. The reason many people never see miracles is because they never risk the possibility of failure. And when you fail, fail forward. Fall in the direction of growth. Let your mistakes push you closer to wisdom, not further into shame. Celebrate lessons as loudly as you celebrate victories, because in heaven's eyes, learning is winning. Every time you learn, you've shortened the distance between who you are and who you're becoming. But there's a deeper mystery here. Failing and learning aren't the end of greatness. They're preparation for something higher. Once you've mastered your inner world, guarded your company, and learned from your scars, heaven begins to trust you with something dangerous and powerful, of influence. Because what you do with influence determines whether your greatness will fade or multiply. And that's where we go next. How to steward your influence so it doesn't consume you but transforms generations. Coyote 6, Stewardship of Influence, 600 words. Influence is one of the most dangerous gifts heaven can give a man. It is not merely the ability to attract attention. It is the power to shape hearts, decisions, and destinies. Influence is weight. It can lift people toward purpose or crush them under the pressure of imitation. Many pray for platforms, but few are ready for the responsibility that comes with being seen. Influence magnifies whatever is inside you. It doesn't transform you, it exposes you. If pride lives in you, influence will make it louder. If humility lives in you, influence will amplify your light. That is why God often delays exposure until your character is mature enough to sustain it. Stewardship of influence means recognizing that what you carry does not belong to you. It is a trust from God. Every time someone listens to you, watches you, or follows you, they are not just admiring you, they are absorbing you. Your words, your attitude, your example become a curriculum for their lives. Influence is discipleship, whether you know it or not. You are teaching with every post, every decision, every reaction. That's why a true leader does not just chase followers. He cultivates responsibility. Greatness that lacks stewardship becomes manipulation. In the kingdom, influence is not measured by how many people know your name, but by how many lives are transformed through your obedience. The goal is not to be famous, but to be fruitful. When God blesses you with visibility, it's not an invitation to build your ego. It's an opportunity to build others. Every gift, every platform, every connection is a tool for service. The higher you rise, the lower you must bow, because influence without humility breeds idolatry. You must never forget that the same crowd that shouts, Hosanna, today can cry, crucify him, tomorrow. Influence is seasonal. Stewardship is eternal. Protect your heart from the illusion that visibility equals value. Some of the most powerful people on earth are hidden intercessors who will never trend on social media, yet heaven knows their names. True influence flows from intimacy with God, not from applause. When you walk closely with Him, your presence begins to carry His fragrance. People sense peace when you enter a room, not because you are special, but because you are submitted. Stewardship of influence also requires integrity. What you do in private matters more than what you post in public. Hypocrisy is the quickest way to destroy credibility. Influence grows at the speed of trust, and trust is built through consistency. Every promise kept, every apology made, every quiet act of kindness strengthens the invisible bridge between your platform and your audience. Don't just impress people, impact them. Don't just perform truth, live it. Influence that lacks authenticity will always collapse under scrutiny. God does not bless you with influence so you can become the center of attention. He blesses you so that through you, others may find direction. Your story, your scars, your survival, they are all sermons someone else needs to hear. Stewardship means asking daily, Lord, how can I use what you've given me to lift another soul? Because greatness that ends with you is not greatness. It's vanity. But greatness that multiplies others becomes legacy. Be careful, though influence will always attract temptation. The temptation to compromise for applause, to manipulate for advantage, to use your voice for your own validation. You must remember, when God grants you influence, He also watches how you wield it. Every word you speak echoes in eternity. That is why, before He gives a man a platform, He tests him in obscurity. The wilderness proves whether you crave influence for yourself or carry it for others. Influence is a seed. How you plant it determines whether it bears fruit or burns bridges. If you steward it well, it becomes a river that blesses generations. If you misuse it, it becomes a flood that drowns even you. Influence is not about power. It's about purpose. And once you understand that, you become unstoppable. Not because you're the loudest, but because heaven can trust you to represent its voice on earth. But there is one final revelation that ties every key together. A truth that defines whether all your effort, vision, discipline, and influence will last beyond your lifetime. Because greatness is not complete until it becomes eternal. So before you leave, prepare your heart for the next unveiling. That's the mystery of legacy. How to live a life that never dies. USCON. The payoff are 350 words. So now, you've walked through every doorway: mindset, vision, discipline, company, failure, and influence. You've peeled back the layers of greatness, not as a myth reserved for a chosen few, but as a divine pattern accessible to anyone willing to pay the price. The truth is, greatness was never hiding from you. It was waiting for you to wake up. Every key you've heard is not just a principle, it's an invitation. Heaven has been whispering, this is who you were all along. The secret mindset of greatness is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you were before fear and failure taught you to shrink. It's realizing that God never called you average. He planted eternity inside you and gave you breath to manifest it. The greatest tragedy is not dying. It's dying without becoming what you were born to be. But today, something inside you has shifted. You've seen the blueprint. You've felt the weight of destiny. You know now that the path of greatness is not paved with luck, but with daily obedience. Every great man begins with one quiet decision: I refuse to live small. From this moment forward, make that your declaration. Guard your thoughts, sharpen your vision, discipline your habits, choose your company wisely, learn quickly, and steward your influence faithfully. Because the world is not waiting for another celebrity. It's waiting for a person of substance, a vessel of purpose, a life that carries light. And hear me, greatness is not when the world knows your name. It's when heaven smiles at your life. It's when your existence becomes a channel through which others find strength, courage, and truth. That is the true reward, the satisfaction of knowing that you didn't just live, you became. So, rise. Step into the version of yourself that creation has been waiting for. The stage of destiny is lit. The heavens are watching, and your name has been called. Now, walk out there, not to impress, but to impact. For this is the moment you were born for, to live the secret mindset of greatness. See,